What's going on, collective listeners? Your host, Anthony Grasso here. Today, we have Don Day, who has the nickname Warthog, and he doesn't tell the story in the podcast. It's sort of like a spoiler, sorry. But if you want the actual story, that's an off-air thing. You'll have to reach out to him. But Director of Strength and Conditioning for Olympic Sports at Murray State. Honestly, awesome dude. It's an awesome conversation. It's a little bit more free-flowing. I really think you guys are really going to enjoy it. He's got great perspective on sort of the path of the strength coach and, where he was and where he's at now. And the way he views things and some of the good and the bad and everything else that comes with it. So hopefully you guys enjoy this episode. Let's get to it. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Samson Strength Coach Collective podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Grasso. Today, we are joined by Don Warthog Day. He goes. I snuck it in there. I got it in there. Yeah. So, obviously, Director of Strength and Conditioning for Olympic Sports at Murray State University. I did get his permission to obviously go with Warthog. I did not know that was his nickname prior. This is my first time actually meeting Don. So, this will be an interesting conversation for sure. Just to give you a little bit of background on Don, he's got a bachelor's degree in strength and conditioning from the University of Findlay, master's degree in sports science from the University of Akron, some of the places that he has been. And it's a decent list here. So hang on. I got Murray State, First Day Diversity and Inclusive Excellence, Elite FTS columnist, University of Arizona, Georgia Southern, University of Buffalo, Western Kentucky, American, University of Akron, and Bowling Green. And his certifications, he is strength and conditioning coach certified, and he has his Precision Nutrition Level 1 certified. He will be getting recertified soon for anybody listening who is actually part of a Precision Nutrition. Don't worry, he will be making sure that he gets that recertification. So welcome everybody. Welcome, Don. Appreciate you hopping on here last minute. But like I was saying, prior to this, obviously it's my first time meeting you. So it's always cool to interview somebody who I've never met before, because it's really just me trying to get to know you right here. Not necessarily live on the air, but, edited on the air, right? So, but yeah, Don, welcome, man. Appreciate you being on here. Why don't you kind of take us through your story a little bit? Let the people know what the people know about you.
All right. Well, I'm Don Warthog Day. Obviously, as you said earlier before, I've got an extensive list of places I've been. First Day Diversity and Inclusive Excellence. It's actually a business I started. I'm a terrible businessman. I'm like not even close to as good as like Tesla or anything like that, because that business was like 2 months, and then I kind of got a job in Arizona, so I didn't do anything with the business. I don't even know if it's still, I'm sure it's still run. Like it's still an entity, right? Like
probably.
I hope so. But
I'm a terrible businessman too, so I'm probably not the guy to ask. So,
I made no money off of it. So, it is what it is. I guess I'm a freelance
real strength coach.
Yeah, real freelance businessman or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But I've been, I started off playing football, University of Findlay. My strength coach was like a huge inspiration to me. I talk about him all the time whenever I'm on any podcast, whatever. I was actually talking about him last night. I'm a nerd. I play Xbox at night, so I play online gaming, and like the guy was asking me about something, and I was like, sorry you had that experience. Like my strength coach was really awesome. His name was Chad Wagner, blah, blah, blah. Huge nerd. I got like an Infinity Gauntlet tattoo. I collect comics. Like,
oh wow,
it's bad. It's bad. I mean, it is what it is. You know what I mean? Sci-fi, all that kind of stuff. Me and my wife are actually going to go see the new Thor movie next week. We saw Doctor Strange, which she hates Doctor Strange, but I love Doctor Strange. Yeah. So I'll make it up to her by taking her to see Thor, which I don't mind Thor either.
See, personally, I'm not big into anything that's like sci-fi, like anything that's like not like, I get knocked on it all the time. Like my brothers, dads I've worked with, they're like, dude, how do you not like Marvel, DC, whatever it is? Like, how come you don't like any of
those? Those are all based
on
true story. You know that, right?
yeah, 100%. Yeah, exactly. But
so,
hey,
you can start watching with a new perspective now.
Thor was good though. I saw Thor because I made a pact with one of the dudes I was working with when I was up at UConn. He's like, yo, come over to my house. He's like, I got everything on DVD. I'll get, whatever, 4K Blu-ray, whatever it is. Shout out to JC Hull down at Lindenwood. He was like, I want you to watch this. Like, spend the weekend just watching all of these and let me know what you think. And I did. Like, normally I just don't like things that are not like real. Like anything that's like kind of like sci-fi gets a little bit of it. I get like, man, it's got to be real. But Thor Ragnarok, I thought was actually pretty funny.
Yeah, it's a good movie. It's a funny movie.
Funny,
and
I'm slowly opening
But
up
yeah,
to that stuff. But yeah.
yeah. So I mean, you named all the school. I've been everywhere. I guess I've been everywhere on the East Coast. Went out west, tried that out. A little too hot out there for me, so I came back down south. Got the opportunity to work at Murray State as director of strength and conditioning for Olympic sports, and it's awesome, man. It's been great. Like the athletes are great, the coaches are great, and things are a little bit different. And we're just building this thing up and trying to take care of our athletes like everyone else is. Try to be the best version of ourselves.
Yeah, no doubt. And how long have you been at Emory State now?
What month is this? So it's been 8 months. I've been here since December.
Oh wow. Okay, so this is a fairly new opportunity for you then.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's pretty new. I got here off of a recommendation from the old basketball strength coach, Puckett. Puckett was at Georgia Southern as a graduate assistant when I was there, and then Puckett got the opportunity to come to Murray State. Was a part of the basketball program and their success, and all the great things they did, and then they were able to go to LSU. Puckett went to LSU, and now he's run the world over at LSU. So shout out to my boy Puckett. He definitely helped change my life in a good way, an awesome way. I thank him for that more than he knows. Actually, I give him a lot of crap or whatever, but like I really do appreciate Puckett. Him and his wife are awesome people, and he's a cool dude.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. And it just dawned on me because I was going to ask you talk about like, you give a lot of guys credit, and obviously you spoke about your former strength coach. And I'm thinking to myself, so is there some guy out in like the middle of nowhere who was just like online gaming last night or whatever, who now knows about your strength coach? Or is this somebody that you like have gamed with and that you actually are like friends with? Or is it just some like random
I've gamed with like so many random. All right. This is nerdy. This is nerdy as hell.
Oh yeah.
So like there's this like indie game called Hunt Showdown. There might be like 10,000 people that play this game, like real low maintenance game, right? Yeah. And like I'm on the leaderboard for kills, so like I'm kind of like a big deal.
Yeah,
like,
we're among greatness right now. We are among greatness. Yeah.
So like I'm like people will hit me up and they'll be like they want my like Snapchatter stuff, and they want like so they can schedule like gaming times. Like I guess that's what they do. They all like pick times to game together and they communicate off Snapchat. I'm not giving random grown men my Snapchat. I'm just not giving anyone I don't know personally. Yeah. Like one guy got actually upset about it. Like he still plays with me, but he's like, hey, like 2 days ago, like my two gaming buddies, they were like, hey man, we know you don't care about us. I go, what? And they're like, we know you just use us for the game. What are you talking about, man? We're just playing a video game. Just play the video game. I go, if we didn't play the video game, I wouldn't know you. So like, just play the game. Like,
yeah, exactly.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, you only care about it for the game. Yeah, no, literally.
Yeah,
that's why
I do. But like, you know what I mean? Like, it gets weird, man. That's my like escape from being a strength coach. I get my ass kicked in the real world, so then I go to the video game and just enjoy, being just video games.
Just beating up on everyone. Yeah, I would imagine
like people on Twitter nowadays. So yeah, I guess it's just different.
Exactly right. Yeah, different outlets for everybody. Well, at least that's an outlet for you, though. Obviously, I think the guy saying like, "Oh, well, you don't care about us. You only care about the video game." That might not be his outlet. That just might be like his thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's when you're in a dark place when you're like, hey,
it gets weird online gaming. I'll tell you.
I bet there's a rabbit hole. Yeah, because my brothers are like super into like, you name it, like Fortnite, whatever, like Call of Duty, like all that stuff. I mean, they literally just sit and like they watch people play video games, which I always thought was interesting. I'm like, so you're not even playing the video game, like you're just on Twitch, like live streaming, watching like Ninja or like Nick Merckx or like all these guys actually play video games or whatever. And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, well, you know what? I'm like, at first I didn't understand, and then I was kind of like, well, I guess it's really no different than me watching somebody else play sports. You know what I mean? It's just like
exactly.
I mean, it's just like a form of entertainment. You know what I mean?
People try to like stream like when we're on the game or whatever. I'm like, hey man, like I mean, they can't hear my audio, can they? Because I say some like messed up stuff sometimes, and you know what I mean? Like I get pissed off like once in a while. I'm pretty chill, but then when I get pissed, I want like just me raging on the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah. Cause now I'm thinking about what at first when you were like, yeah, these dudes like want my Snapchat, they want my contact info. I figured they'd be hitting you up for like training programs or something like that. You know what I mean? You're a strength and conditioning coach, man, hit me up. Like I'd love a program. Like that's always what you get. You tell anybody you're a strength and conditioning coach or you work in like physical fitness in any way, shape, or form. They're like, you know what, man, I'm gonna have to reach out to you about something. I need some help. I might need some guidance or whatever. These guys.
No, they want to coordinate gaming times. Like they get like up there, like I messaged you on Xbox, but you're already off. Like, that's why I need your Snapchat. No, man, like I'm not doing it. I'm
I
sorry.
got a
Like I'll see
job,
the
bro.
message when I get back on. Like
Yeah,
I
yeah,
get on the
yeah.
same time every day. Like
Yeah, because I'm thinking about it, like you're obviously like for all the listeners, obviously, before we got on, Don was like, yeah, my wife told me she's going to divorce me if I keep moving around and bouncing around from spot to spot. So I figured, along with as long as you stay at Murray State and you don't give your Snapchat out to other grown men, I think you'll probably be in pretty decent shape. But I think if you give your Snapchat out to another dude, like that's when, yeah, wife might start asking questions, might have some problems there. That's
yeah, yeah. I
especially
try to just I try to
another
avoid
gaming
drama.
buddy.
I did
Yeah.
I I did not, I don't want drama, man. That's why I like living in the South, living in the country, like just
Yeah.
chill, relax, and away from people. I live in a small town of like 4,000 people. I
Oh,
live in the
nice.
outside skirts of the town, like
Yeah.
between nothing and nothing. So like
That's awesome. Yeah.
I just I'm like I'm a socialite that doesn't like people at all. Like it's weird.
Yeah, that's my brother was telling me there's a word for those people the other day. I'm not going to remember what it was. I forget. What is
Psychotic,
it?
yeah, I know. Yeah, my
Yeah.
wife is also a counselor, so she's diagnosed me a few times. But
Yeah, well, it's interesting because like my brother's like the social butterfly, and he'll categorize me as an introvert. Although like I like talking, like I'm having a conversation with you right now, and I enjoy talking to people, but at the same time, I also enjoy being completely secluded and like being left alone by myself for like hours on it. Like don't need to be bothered. You know what I mean? Like just like you
yeah,
said, like I just want to be out in the middle of nowhere, like no one bothering me, off the grid kind of thing. And I think like people talk about like being that way, right? They'll be like, yeah, man, I just want to go off the grid. I'm going to shut my phone off or whatever. But like, how many people can actually go just like be by themselves and do nothing for like 2 to 3 hours? Like most of us can't do it as humans. Like, it's not
right.
even like, right. But like, I actually like try to like do some of that, like be still, you know what I mean? Like actually just
Yeah,
like chill, be by myself, like, be confident by, being by yourself and whatnot. So I appreciate, so is Murray State in a very small area? Like, is that kind
yeah.
of,
Like it is. I don't know how many. Let's just say like 20 or 30 maybe thousand in this town. Like so,
yeah.
like in the town of Murray, Kentucky, and then I live 20 minutes up the highway in Benton, which is only like 4,000 people.
Oh,
And
nice.
I mean, Georgia Southern I thought was small and country, but I think it's like double the size of Murray. So
Oh, wow.
yeah,
Okay.
it's
Yeah.
and obviously going from Tucson to Murray is
Yeah.
completely different worlds. Like how
Yeah.
not just like from the school aspect, but just from the entire, from West Coast culture, which was a huge shock to me. And
Yeah.
then coming out here, what I mean? But I like the West, I like Tucson and where I live because like the Spanish culture, like you're right by like Mexico. So like the like Latino American like culture is like heavy and like prevalent there, and I like
Yeah.
love it. I like
Yeah.
blend in well. I don't know. People think I'm like Dominican or something for some reason, or they think I'm like Spanish or like, but
Now
like,
that you're saying that, I could see, kind of
yeah, yeah. People
like
always
a,
think like they're always like you part like Latino or something. No, I'm not.
yeah,
I'm
like
just a
Dominican
black guy,
baseball
man.
player
Like,
look kind of thing,
yeah, yeah. They
Dominican baseball.
always think I
Yeah. Yeah.
played baseball or something. I didn't play baseball, like what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, but like,
Yeah.
I enjoyed the culture. I really did. I enjoy like delving into different cultures. Like that's one of the things that like some people like to watch people or watch birds, or like whatever. I enjoy
What?
delving into cultures of wherever I'm at. So like I'm going to delve deep into the culture of being in Kentucky again, or like when I was in Georgia, like I delved deep into the Georgian culture and like all that kind of stuff. Or like being out by literally right by Mexico, I delved into that culture. Like, I mean, I
Yeah.
went to Mexico almost one night, but like by accident. But
Oh, the almost went to Mexico night. Yeah, that's that's an interesting
that was the
night for
first
sure.
month. But yeah,
I would imagine it probably happens pretty early, right? Yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah. It
It
was, it
gets
was.
gets on you pretty
That's why I
early.
got the nickname the War Dog.
Oh,
No,
okay.
I got
Well,
that in college. It's
I was
probably,
gonna say
yeah, that was
that might
yeah,
be an off-air story, but yeah, no.
definitely off
Well,
air, definitely
yeah,
off air.
yeah, for sure. Well, I think it's interesting. I felt the same way when I went to San Diego. I was like, wow, we're like the first time I was in San Diego, I was like, wow, I'm like 20 minutes from Mexico. Like the Mexican food here is unbelievable. And you know, as it should be, right? But I agree, man. Like all these different like cultures or whatever, it's just like there's so many things to be celebrated and explored. I mean, obviously, I think when I think culture, I think food. You know, I'm always I like eating, so I'm just like I want to know like how do you guys like your food? How does it get cooked? Like all that stuff. And obviously, it's one thing like you're not getting like I mean, especially in like Kentucky or whatever, it's like you're not getting like good sushi, right? Like you need to go to places that have like, you know what I mean? Like
there's
like,
this little sushi restaurant right up the street called Jasmine's, and it's like I can't find a good roll. I keep getting different rolls and they all suck. Like it's like, God, dog. But like it's only sushi I'm gonna find between here and I don't know. I mean Nashville, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, I think I think about it from like when what was it? I think it was in Breaking Bad when Hank, they're sitting down for dinner or whatever, and he looks at Walt, and I think it was his wife that ordered sushi, and they're in New Mexico, and he's like, how far inland do you think that sushi needed to travel to get to where we're at in Albuquerque? So I mean, I don't know, geographically, I'm terrible, but I would imagine it's probably the same for Kentucky. Like how long is that thing on a truck before it actually got here? You know,
right.
It's like, I'm getting sushi on the outskirts, on the coasts. You know what I mean?
Right. Like, when we get crab rolls and stuff, I'm like, man, how long has this crab been dead? Like, you know what I mean? Like, is this even crab? I don't know. I have no idea. Yeah, I'm sorry that we haven't talked anything about strength and conditioning on your podcast. I feel like this is you guys are a high profile company, and I'm just over here talking about video games.
It's all good. It's all good. Honestly,
I think this is why they'll never let me speak at another conference, but.
So you already spoke at a conference, huh?
Yeah, I tricked them once. I don't know if I probably have to get my master's jacket before the next time they let me speak.
Okay, yeah. They're like, all right, let's play that music they play at like the Grammys where they try to like end it pretty quickly or whatever. Like, let's get this guy off the stage here. Let's get this thing going. No, it's good. Let's
get the serious talk about whatever going. Let's put up the next speaker real fast. Someone that's gonna talk about like serious stuff.
Yeah,
John's up there telling. I was literally up there like talking about baseball a little bit and just telling like off like stand-up comedy more so than anything. I had like a row of spectators that were all my boys from Alabama State, and I was just literally like interacting with them and telling jokes back and forth, kind of like, you know.
That's awesome. Yeah, that sounds like fun.
I really let Eric Cressy down.
That's where that's
no, it was no, it was at the CSCCA.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. No, I think I don't know. It's like, I always debate it too. Cause like sometimes I'll go to a podcast and I'm like, it's tough for me to have context because I don't do these like 1 week at a time. Sometimes I'll do multiple within a week. Sometimes I'll do multiple within a day. So like, it's tough sometimes to have a pulse on like what someone who's like following this week by week is experiencing in terms of like, oh, so last week was nutrition. This week is be something a little more in the world of sports science. This guy's going to talk about some sort of like, you know, manipulation of like data or whatever it is. Right. And, you know, every once in a while I'm kind of like, and then a lot of the podcasts, I really think the podcast should be built around more like pillars and principles that are like, you know, like some like overlaying things, not like these like deep, like let's be honest, like if you're coming to a podcast to get all of your information in like from like a deep mechanical perspective, it's like you're in the wrong place. Like in my opinion, the podcast should simply just like spark interest for you, then go down that road, do your own homework, try to dig a little bit deeper. Cause that's how I viewed podcasts when I was like young, and not that I'm old now, you know, at least I feel old, but like, you know, I mean, I'm 31, right? So I'm like, technically,
we're on the back half of our careers. We're old.
Compared to where I was when I was like a 22-year-old strength coach, where I was like, I was trying to soak up like as much information as I could. I started to realize, I'm like, okay, well, they'll have a podcast, 45-minute, you know, hour-long podcast, and they're going to talk a little bit about some like main concepts and really drive you towards their book or their podcast or their piece of information or whatever it is that they put out. So then you need to go and do the homework, obviously, and dig deep and go be with that work and, you know, spend some time with it for a couple of years kind of thing. So that's why like I wanted the podcast to kind of be in a similar ilk to that, you know what I mean? Where it's like we're sparking interest, but a lot of it, I feel sometimes I'm like, if you have a podcast that's mainly based on like technical strength and conditioning information, obviously it can get pretty dry. And I think for me,
it's like, the worst. It's like listening to super training. Like, you know what I mean? Like it'd be terrible.
It's like having super training on an audiobook where someone's
read to you by your grandma. Story. Yeah, like, exactly. You know what I mean? It'd be like, I think like, that's why like with my like, my conference talk or like whenever I get on podcasts or whatever, like I just try to like just be like normal, like a normal human. Well, strength coaches most strength coaches have terrible personalities and like are very like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like they're just awful. Like they're awful people. Strength coaches are the worst thing about strength and conditioning. Like if there's one thing I've learned in 11 years of doing this, it's not the speed work, it's not athlete injury prevention, whatever catchphrase it is that like everyone like used to say, oh, sport coaches don't know what they're doing, whatever. Strength coaches are the worst thing about strength and conditioning, period. You can't convince me otherwise. Like people were arguing on Twitter, and I'm about to, if my social media is like to retweet like athletes or like to retweet stuff for like, you know, I'm like a fan page. I'm a Murray State fan page. At Arizona, I was an Arizona fan page, but like there are people arguing about walking, and it's like, bro, don't what?
Was that like what Kier was
I have no idea. I just see like a long laundry list of different people arguing about whatever just to argue, and it's like, bro, strength coaches are literally like the reason we don't get paid is because I wouldn't pay us. I would not. I would like I'm a strength coach. If I became an athletic director, I'd look on social media. I'd be like, okay, what am I gonna pay my strength coach?
This is what you
not
guys
much
do all day?
because I don't need to pay much. You know what I mean? Like it's like economics 101, right? Like you think Elon Musk is paying everyone great salaries? Probably not. You know what I'm saying? Like here's these guys that look like clowns, and I'm going to pay them accordingly because we're like a bunch of cockroaches. We just show up, take a job, and then another one will show up, take the job, and we're interchangeable, and we all argue about doing stuff. There's only so many different ways you can organize numbers, right? There's only so many different ways you can move a bar vertically because that's it. You know what I'm saying? Like there's only so many different ways you can throw a med ball. Like most people don't even throw med balls. You can only sprint going forward, right? It's only so many ways you can organize distances. Most people use a football field, so it's literally the dimensions are set for you. And like people just try to argue and like pretend like there's a secret to everything, but the secret is there's one secret to the perfect program or like a premium program, whatever people want to say. The secret is you are the secret. So how good you are is the secret. So like I gave up, like I used to brag, I used to be so like about myself and so like arrogant. It was so dumb. Like I got caught up in this whole like validation and feeling good because we all feel bad about ourselves because we don't get paid good and no one really cares about us. So it's a whole pot of just miserable people in this miserable industry. and like, so like I got over that. And like, I don't need to talk about where I've been, what I do, how good I am or how good I think I am or whatever, because I just do my job. Because it doesn't matter, because there's bad strength coaches getting paid a lot. There's good strength coaches getting paid little. And, you know, it doesn't really matter, right? Like I'm trying to have a kid. I enjoy my life. So like, does it matter if I think I'm good or if anyone else thinks I'm good? I mean, it doesn't matter, because if I got hit by a car tomorrow, they will replace me with someone that was either better than me, worse than me. I mean, or the same. So it doesn't really matter what people
anyone who was literally willing to take the job.
Anyone that's willing to take the job. But like I said, like we sit here and argue about stuff that doesn't matter. Like, and like I went to these conferences a while ago. I used to listen to people and be like, oh, this is cool information. And then I was like, oh, well, I'm an intern, so I can't really implement this. Or I'm a GA, so I can't implement this. Or I'm an assistant that has their own teams, but I don't have this equipment or this technology. Or, oh, now I'm a head guy and I don't have this technology or whatever it is. So I can't, you know what I mean? So it's like, bro, it doesn't matter like what you say, like what you think works or doesn't work. If I'm not you, then I'm not going to be able to do the stuff that you do. You know what I'm saying? Like so like we just argue about stupid stuff and we ruin, it's supposed to be fun. Like, you know what I mean? You're hanging out with athletes, watching them achieve their dreams, watching them get better, watching them work hard, watching them like come together as a team and figure out this thing called life or whatever. And then we sit there and talk about running or walking for hours when you should just be coaching your athletes, like whatever you want to do. Like just it's just a waste of time. Like that's why like I give up on that's why I said I like the people I like. I'm close with the people I'm close with, and everyone else I do not care about. It's
Dude,
tough to say, but that's simply it. That's where I'm at in my life. You know what I
yeah.
mean?
I do. I know exactly what you mean, actually. And it's funny because I feel like at this, like, as I'm sitting here listening to you, I'm like, wow, I think about the things you're saying a lot. I do. I think about them often through the week because I find myself starting to feel the same way. And I'm like, well, what I try to do is, and this is not to get too crazy, but I try to think about how I think about things, right? So I constantly think about that stuff, right? And I noticed myself starting to think and feel the exact same way that you felt. And I noticed that that's different than the way I felt about 5, 6 years ago, right? So anytime you go through some sort of like change like that, you're like, okay, is this the right thing to be feeling? I feel it pretty damn strongly, but like, is this the right thing to be thinking? Should I be thinking this way? Do I need to start kind of like reeling it back in? Maybe like change my course of action, maybe change my thinking a little bit. But the reality is that is exactly how I feel, right? And I think, to kind of go back to like, you know what I mean? I think as you get older, it almost seems like the trajectory of the strength coach happens the same way. It's like, okay, early on, your early 20s, you're like, super eager, right? And like the motivation is there. And I don't think that the motivation or like the drive ever changes, but the passions, the desires obviously change. That can be due to some alterations in their experiences that you had, good and bad experience with administrators, other coaches, the place you've worked, whatever, good, like I said, good or bad, like they kind of like change, it kind of like, alters the trajectory a little bit. And then it's like you get to your mid 20s and you're like, okay, I'm starting to gain a lot of information. I'm starting to absorb a lot of knowledge. I feel like I know a lot. And I feel like I'm really competent, right? So then you feel that you have the ability to obtain this position that you sought, right? And then you get that position, and then you start to feel like, well, now I'm dealing with the troubles of dealing with strength coaches and other, sport coaches or whatever in administration, right? I'm starting to complain, I'm frustrated about that. I feel like I should get paid more for what I do, blah, blah, blah. And then, and maybe you should, like, maybe you're doing a great job and maybe you're really working hard and maybe you're a really thorough, in-depth, human being or whatever, and you're really approaching your job with integrity. And I think that it should always be the case, right? And then you get to like your late 20s, like kind of like early 30s, and you're like, damn, okay, so I'm seeing, like you said, there's bad strength coaches making a lot of money. There's bad strength coaches doing some asinine shit that like they're still getting paid a lot of money, and these teams are still winning. And I'm starting to realize that the administration, as much work as I put in, right, and as hard as I've worked to try to get good at the things that I was told I needed to be good at in this craft in order to advance in the field. See, it doesn't seem like the athletic director really gives a shit about all that stuff. He doesn't really seem to care all that much. And it's not that he doesn't want to win or doesn't want to be successful. It's just that they know deep down that the formula they need to succeed doesn't really involve some of these things I'm talking about when it comes to like practice blueprints and different ways to manipulate stress. And when it's all cool stuff, I think it's interesting stuff.
It's awesome stuff. Yeah,
it's great stuff, but they don't care. And it's not that they would care if they knew they needed it to win, but they know they don't. There's other shorter, like everything is on this. It's like you're talking about what I just described. And then the way that you need to go about winning in college football, where it's like everything is short-term, quick band-aid, turnaround, win in a year or two, or else you're out. Like we don't have time for these like long-term models where you're trying to put together our athletes in a sense of like, you know what I mean? You could go back, you go ahead and do it, but like don't expect.
You can do it at Alabama after they've won 6 national championships.
Yeah,
right?
You can
do it like then it's okay because you probably gonna win the national championship regardless. So like
you can mess around with
back to your point of doesn't matter. Does it?
Well, I actually interned at Alabama. It is, so yeah, I know it doesn't matter.
I mean, but to go off your point, like it's just like the thing that I realized and I've always known, and like I got away from at some point in my like mid-20s, and I came back to, and like I say, like strength coach is the worst part of strength and conditioning. I've been a part of that worst part of strength and conditioning, and then I decided to just exit that like train of thought to not add to the problem. Like I don't know how to fix our industry. I don't think it's really messed up. I think it just is a market. It's just it is what it is. Like, you know what I mean? Like this is the real world. Like I'm sorry that we have a bunch of spoiled kids that, eventually realize the real world sucks. Like for me, it's always sucked. So like, you know what I mean? Like it just is what it is. Like welcome to the party. But anyway, like you know what I mean? Like it is what it is. But like have to work hard, you don't get valued, you get underpaid, like whatever. It just is what it is. That's what my mom told me growing up was going to happen, and that's what has happened. Like throughout my life, and I've had to provide my own like value and find my own ways of making money and find like different ways of increasing my salary or whatever it might be, and like hustle like hustle the administration through what I've been doing and grow where I'm at, right? And prove that, like, hey, this is why Don deserves more. Like, hey, we can't let Don walk away. We're gonna offer him this. So like I've had to build a whole literally nutrition department while working the nutrition department at a Power 5 school. You know what I mean? Like I had to build a nutrition department at a Power 5 school. Like, you know what I mean? Like I was making $55,000 doing it. So like, and then they brought in 3 new dietitians and they paid them way more than that. I didn't get no raise. You know what I'm saying? Like, so like the thing is though, like I like just enjoy being with the athletes and enjoy like watching them grow and watching them like get better, because like if what we do is so subjective, right? Because there's no wins and losses, right? Like when we say injuries don't really get tied to, like we throw everything away. Like, oh, we don't do anything with wins and losses. Okay. We don't do anything with injuries. Okay. So how do you objectively define what we do when we've pretty much said we don't want any of the blame? That's fine. If that's what we want to do, that's fine. But don't complain about we can't get paid, or you know what I mean? Or like there's why would they hire strength coaches to be over us if we don't objectively define what we do? We say, like, whenever any of the time comes to put objective measures to it, well, numbers, you know, they don't really matter. Like just because you have a big squat doesn't, okay, man. So what you just want to float around like a bunch of hippies then? Like, you know what I mean? Like what are we talking about? Like that's why I don't get paid enough to be in those conversations. I don't care enough to be in those conversations. I just want to enjoy my time on this earth, make my athletes better, and like just enjoy this whole process. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think what you're saying is, I think the key word is consensus, right? And that's something that I keep coming back to when I try to explain to other strength coaches. I'm like, listen, the administration, the sport coaches, the athletic trainers, the strength coaches, whatever it is, like you guys haven't come to a consensus on how you view these qualities, right? Like how you view not only the, how, like, not even talking evaluation, like how can you evaluate something that you have no foundational knowledge of? You know, I mean, you can't do it. And it's not to say that like strength coaches know more about, you know, some of the foundation, like, yeah, okay, whatever. You took a couple A&P classes and some exercise physiology and stuff like that. Like that's great. Like and I'm not saying that like there's no knock on this stuff. Like I think it's important, but I think it's important to understand that like, regardless of what it is that you guys are doing, if everybody in the room doesn't have a good consensus and come to like an agreement, it doesn't have to be a pure agreement, but just like an understanding of like, okay, here's what I mean when I use the word intensity, or here's what I mean when I use the word speed, right? And then be like, okay,
the language has to be the same.
It's got to be somewhat, it's got to be in the same ballpark, you know what I mean? At least in the same ballpark, right?
We're some prideful creatures, and we are people that like, it just is what it is. That's why, like, I'm not gonna waste my time like arguing or like debating this or like talking about this. Like I said, I'm trying to have kids. Like I'm trying to like, you know, increase value where I'm at, and I'm trying to help my athletes grow, be better. Like, I mean, I don't mind talking to people. I don't mind calling people. I'll go on site visits, all that kind of stuff. I'm not like this angry hermit. I'm just not going to get into extracurricular stupid stuff. Like, you know, as far as like these side conversations or whatever, I'm not saying they're like, I mean, if people think they're useful, then, hey man, you think they're useful. That's my opinion. My opinion shouldn't matter to you, or your opinion shouldn't have to matter to me. And it is what it is. I'll let you live your life. You let me live my life, and we'll just go about it. You know?
And that's the thing. You can't make decisions for other people. And like, sometimes I'll be critical of the way other people live their life. I'm like, how can you do that? Like, what are you, like, how is that possible? Like you talk about, you know, the West Coast being so different from the East Coast. Like I went out to California and I'm like, how can you live your life like this? Like, I mean, it's beautiful for like 3 to 4 days. And I'm like, I need to get back to like something, you know what I mean? Like we gotta have some desire here, some sort of direction. You know, I went out to San Diego for like 4 straight
it's crazy,
days.
man.
Like,
those people are just
chilling.
free spirits, boy. Like it's
chilling,
just...
bro. I'm like crazy because I'm thinking to myself, I'm like I'll be driving or whatever. And I was in San Diego and I would like walk across the street. I'll maybe like cut a car off, right? They don't get mad. They'll beep. No, nothing.
No,
I'm like,
no,
and I'm looking at my brothers are laughing at me because I'm looking, I'm like, you're not even mad. Why aren't you mad at me? You should be mad
right,
at me. You know what I mean? I'm
right.
like, they don't care. Like, and that's why I thought it was like a great place for a vacation for a couple of days because you could be anyone you want for as long as you want, right? And it's just like no one's like, and I ask people, I'm like, what do you do for a living? And they tell me some of the stuff they do. I'm like, first of all, I have no idea how you sustain this expensive lifestyle doing that, whatever the hell that is. I don't even know what that is, like selling t-shirts or like art, whatever it is. Like,
Right, right.
it's all cool, like it's all good stuff. It's just like,
It's
damn, like
peaceful. It's peaceful. Like, and that's like,
it's almost like they got to where like we want to get to, and they're
yeah,
just like completely committed to it and comfortable. Like there's times, no doubt, where it's like what we're describing here is peace of mind. Like you're trying to come across like peace of mind. Like you said, you're trying to have a kid, you're trying to do a really good job and do your job with integrity. You're not expecting to the administration, the sport coaches, and all these people to understand and value you more and all that stuff. Like that's not. And just to preface this, like we should probably bring this back. It's full circle, right? Like I'm not saying that like strength and conditioning jobs and strength and conditioning coaches don't matter. What I'm saying is you should always still approach the craft with integrity. As long as you're doing that, I'm okay. Like I'm good with that. You know what I mean? Like I've worked
yeah.
for
Like
guys where I'm like, I don't really agree with what's going on. But like as long as if you are approaching the job with integrity and you have high character, you're trying to do your best for the athletes. And, in the process, obviously understanding that like, it's a shitty field. Like, and that's why I kind of decided like, oh, it's just not for me. Cause like, there's just so many things that are not cleaned up yet that aren't going to get cleaned up in quite some time because
oh
the
yeah,
model for it isn't cleaned up. So that's why I'm saying,
oh
like,
yeah.
I
I'll never
think,
see. I won't never see it cleaned up. And like I don't, but that is like it's still a choice that I've made to be in this industry because I enjoy what
yeah,
I do. You know what I
no
mean? I
doubt.
enjoy giving back to the athletes. I never thought I was going to be rich. I've made more money than I think I'd ever have, like just off of a house sale, not being in strength and conditioning, but selling my house. So
Yeah.
like I've done everything now. You know what I mean? I've talked at a conference, I've been at a Power Five school, I've
Yeah.
made money, I've done now I'm really just living life and trying to have a kid. And like if I died tomorrow,
Yeah.
if I had a kid now, I would have accomplished everything that I want to accomplish in life. So like that's where like I am at total peace of mind with like all of it. Like I
Yeah.
am so far removed from caring about any of the stupid stuff. Like if you're a good or bad strength coach, that's up to your athletic director to determine. You know what I mean? I don't write your checks. You can be the worst strength coach in the world, and maybe I just won't associate with you. If I see you somewhere and you say hi, I'm gonna be cordial because that's how my parents raised me to be.
No
But
doubt.
we probably, what I mean, if you're a bad person, I probably just won't be. I just won't be. I won't be associated with you. I'm not going to judge how you do your job because that is not my responsibility. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like
Right.
if I'm conversing with close friends, I mean, hey man, yeah, you see that stupid shit they were doing? God dog. You know what I mean? But like that's
Yeah.
between me
Yeah.
and them, me and my
Yeah.
close friends. But I don't why add problems to your life? We got a bunch of people that are just adding problems to your life. Like peace of mind cannot happen if you just constantly think in this negative pot that becomes this strength and conditioning black hole of judging everyone and how everyone does stuff. It's like, man, let them do their thing. Like, you know
Let
what I
them do
mean?
it. Yeah.
Their athletic director is supposed to figure that out. Like, quit trying to control. It's Fight Club. Quit trying
Yeah.
to control everything and let it go. Like, I
Yeah.
have slide written on my arm to remind me that, like, you have to have the ability to let that which does not truly matter just slide. And that's
Yeah.
what I do. Like, if it doesn't matter to me and it doesn't move my life forward or my athletes' lives forward, then I'm going to let it slide. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? If it's that simple. I think it's just because of maybe like I didn't always think this way. Obviously, I'm not like I'm not like this like Buddha of strength and conditioning. I'm not like awakening, like what I mean, like but like just like different trials and things I've gone through, and maybe people haven't gone through life altering or life changing events, or maybe they're not there in their thought process. Like I wasn't there in my thought process at one point in time, but like
Sure.
now
Yeah.
that I'm here, I'm glad because like the struggles I had to go to get here are also like it got me here, but also like it helped me realize what's important and what's not important. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And what matters and what doesn't matter. And like having kids to me, like I cannot imagine that I will be at my son or daughter's football game because my daughter, hey, she's gonna be a stud now. But if I have a daughter, but like
yeah.
whatever games they choose to play, football, basketball, baseball, softball, it doesn't matter. They're gonna play all sports. But like, or if they're mathematicians, they'll be the best mathematicians ever. But like, if I'm watching my kid's event, I'm not going to be tweeting about strength and conditioning. Like, it's just not gonna happen. I'm not like, once I have kids, I'm not gonna I won't even entertain like the thought of other like strength coaches, because it does not matter at all.
Yeah, I think it's like you're describing like a specific. It's funny because like in my mind, I'm like, I feel like you probably surround yourself with people that like you respect, and you were just like, decent, like down to earth human beings, right? Like that's all we're like really talking about here.
Yeah,
like just down to earth, just like normal dudes, right? And it's funny because like I don't realize how small that sample size is, right? Like, because like you just talked about, like, I don't associate myself with a ton of people, right? But the ones I do, I would consider to be good human beings, right? So in my mind, I'm like, oh yeah, like strength and conditioning is just full of great people. You know what I mean? Right? And in reality, it's like the sample size I'm going off is just some dudes. I've been in Connecticut my whole damn life, right? Like I said, I went down to Alabama to intern, but at the side of that, I've been at all these universities in Connecticut, and it's like, I'm like, damn, like, what is the deal? Like, cause like, I feel like strength and conditioning brings out some really good things in a lot of the coaches that I've worked with, right? Like, I'm like, man, this guy has really like used strength and conditioning as a great avenue for him to turn his life around or whatever. Like maybe he's going through some, like it has all of these great attributes to it. But unfortunately, when you really start to mix in a lot of that excess stuff that we're talking about, like you get these coaches, because I see it like, and this is why I appreciate Kier, because I know Kier likes to stir the pot, right? So he's like Strength Coach Network. He's like, I'm gonna put up there like walking is not cardio, right? So like, and all of a sudden it's like a thing, like it's a thing on social media. Like I didn't even know that was him. To tell you the truth, I think it was.
I thought it was Ray, or I don't know. I just saw one person starts tweeting, so many people start tweeting, and like. I had no idea who it was or who said what or whatever, but like,
Kier may have been trolling somebody else. That's also a very high possibility. Like I've
been subject of his troll one time. He put his like I don't know if it was like, I have a dumb tattoo, so he has like put a mustache like tattoo. I thought it was funny. Like, I mean, all my tattoos, like I love my tattoos, but dumb as hell, but like they're meaningful to me, but they looks like a 3-year-old just plastered different pieces of art on my arm, and that's just how I like it. But
that's kind of tattoos.
I think at heart, strength coaches are good people for the most part. Like you have to be somewhat of a good person to be able to withstand this industry, right? But like, I think we like tear each other apart, and sometimes like it's constructive, but it'd be more constructive if you did it one-on-one with that person, versus never having a conversation. Like, like when I can't think of a good one to go off of, but like if someone is going to like come at me, like, if they've talked to me before, like that's different than if they just like randomly say some stuff, you know what I mean? Like, I've had that, whatever, in the past. We all have, if I never really, if I'm coming, like the most I'll come at someone is like, if I'm like me, I call him my uncle, but he's, the assistant strength coach, associate director. I don't know what his title is. He, what all these titles, he's over at Georgia. And I posted a video of me dunking on him when we were playing full basketball. And he posts videos of me getting drugged across the floor when we were doing a tug of war. So like that kind of stuff is like, what I mean? Like, but like that's
all
different.
Good fun.
I just wish like everyone just loved like Jackie Moon. Like everybody loved everybody. Like that's just to me, like this industry is a tough one. You know what I mean? It's tough for all of us. Like we all have our days where we like have tough days. And I think if we just came together more, like it'd be awesome. And like if we support each other more and we grew together, and like instead of bashing bad strength coaches or whatever you deem as bad or whatever, maybe educate those people, or like maybe talk to those people, have a conversation with those people instead of like trying to run people out. Because I know I wasn't always a good strength coach. I don't, I mean? Like, I wasn't always a technically sound strength coach. Like, and I'm not the best I can be. Everyone can get better. Like you can always grow. I think the thing that makes me me is the the focus of where I put my efforts and attention. You know what I mean? Like I I like the strength and conditioning part is like the back of my hand. The coaching is really what I work on. You know what I mean? Like I'm not the smartest person in the room. I don't want to be the smartest person in the room. There's a lot of strength coaches that want to be the smartest person ever. They can have that. I'm going to keep coaching and growing and learning and keep coaching and building relationships with my athletes. And from there, see what happens. It's been pretty good so far. So I'm just gonna keep doing that. You know what I mean? Like I don't think I've been on a bad track so far. So I'm gonna keep doing that. You know, my wife's happy, I'm happy, my athletes are happy, everyone's happy. You ever seen American Gangster? Everyone's happy except for you. You know what I mean? I don't know what the problem is. So like I think we should all just get along, man. Everyone should love everybody. Maybe I'm too hippie-ish about it. I've been out west too long, but like I don't know, man. I just wish it's so simple, and it can be so simple, and like it like the Strength Coach Job Network thing, right? Where they asked to, and I'm guilty too, because they asked like to put the salaries in, right? And no one did that, and I couldn't figure out how to do it because I'm not technologically savvy, and I still I like texted Delph the other day like, hey man, it's not why I sent him a video to show him I wasn't being lazy. I just couldn't figure out how to do it. And so anyway, you know, everyone's complaining about the salary of 19.2 for that position or whatever, and most of the people that complained did not fill out that survey so we could send it and get that in the eye, or they could send it and get that in the eyes of people that are doing the hiring stuff. Sure, you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, holy, like if this was the what was that, the Independence War or whatever, when the British came, we have strength coaches complaining about taxes, and we would have got taken over by the British.
Yeah, we would have lost. Happened. We would have lost big time. Oh, so you're talking about that position that was like posted or whatever that was only like 18,000 or 19,000 or something like that. Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
yeah, I remember.
I'll say this: like people complain, and like they won't bet on themselves, and they won't sacrifice for a dream. You know what I mean? Sometimes you have to sacrifice for a dream. Like I have gone from making six figures to taking a $60,000 pay cut to make $40,000 when I was at Georgia Southern. I was set to make more money, but I sacrificed so I could get the people around me that I needed at the pay that I could get them to, the highest pay I could get them to, which still wasn't great. Then from there, I get a big pay raise, like 20-something $1,000 pay raise. And when I left Arizona, probably, I know for a fact, I left at least six figures on the table. And I took a pay cut that was bigger than the salary that I make now. I make less than $40,000 now. But what I am doing, and I've been doing this for 11 years. All right. And people want to talk about rings, championships, whatever. I've got 2 bowl championships. I've been part of the record-breaking team, NCAA record-breaking turnaround for college football. I've worked with a team baseball team that Georgia Southern baseball that's not me. I was just able to be a part of it. Like whenever me and the old strength coaches for that team get together, it's like, man, it's cool that we were able to be a part of it. You know what I mean? It's like plug and play strength coaches, and Coach Hennon just keeps that thing turning. You know what I mean? No diss on Coach Scott Shipman. He does a phenomenal job. They hosted the regional. He's been helping elevate what we did with that program. But like, those are the things that, you know, I've been able to be a part of, fortunate to be a part of, and I'm making less than $40,000. I've literally built a nutrition department at Arizona. And now I come here, I'm making less than $40,000, and I'm completely happy. I'm very peace of mind. You know what I mean? Because I'm betting on myself, and I'm enjoying everything outside of I'm not getting caught in the cauldron of blackness, of pity and despair that strength and conditioning makes you want to believe. You know what I'm saying? Like, can I go out for a steak dinner every night? No. Can I like do all? No, I can't do that. But do I need to do that? No, I don't need to do that. I don't need to impress other people with what I spend my money on. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I
Right.
have my bills are paid. I live in a house that's almost exactly like my Arizona house, just $100,000 cheaper.
Yeah.
I hustled and I got a good realtor so I can make a good price on my sale in my Arizona house. I do stuff. I wrote the book. I am doing speaking engagements. I'm finding other ways to supplement my income,
Mm.
and I'm enjoying my life. And there's no threat of getting fired because of performance, of wins and losses. I'm back with baseball. My baseball team is awesome. My baseball coach is awesome. All my teams are awesome. I mean, my rifle coach gave me this. I mean, I can't show it. My rifle hoodie that I'm wearing right now. Like my softball team was phenomenal. I've been able to be a part of some awesome situations. I'm not saying I created them. I've been able to be a part of these awesome situations this year. Whatever it might be. It's been awesome to see that, and awesome to like build the relationships I'm building now by betting on myself. And I don't get paid much more than that salary that got posted.
Mm.
So, but I didn't complain. I'm not lining up to complain and bash people or anything like that. I'm just trying to better this position. And the thing about this position is the next person that takes over this position is probably going to be in a better situation than I walked into. And that's going to be because the team responsibilities are going to be less. The pay has increased. You know what I mean? Like if you talk to Kelly Cosgrove, if you ever talk to Kelly Cosgrove, she's the strength coach in West Virginia now. She'll laugh. It hasn't increased much, but it's increased a little bit.
Yeah.
And she did, she worked, did her work here, and then I got to do the work after, and she, has been nothing but helpful for me, like coming into this, like very opening and welcoming and like talk back and forth. Most times you take over a position, the other person acts like you killed their dog. I mean, she's
Yeah.
been awesome. But
Yeah.
but like, yeah, man, like I think strength coaches need to look at the brighter side of things. Like, could I sit there and complain about my salary? Yeah, I could, but what's that have? What's that do? What's that
Mm.
do? Like, you know what I mean? Could I sit there? I mean, I'll probably be at this job when I get my master strength coach jacket. You know what I
Mm.
mean? Like, could I complain? Be like, oh, it's a shame that master strength coach makes less than $40,000. Who cares? Who
Yeah.
cares? No one cares. It doesn't matter. It doesn't like. Do salaries need to increase? They do. I think so. I'm not like that old school that I think we need to work for like free food. You know what I'm saying? Like, but like, like if you don't like the salaries, don't apply to the jobs. Like,
Mm.
and don't take the jobs. Like, if I didn't like my salary, I wouldn't have taken this job. But I don't care about the salary. Like, I do not
Mm.
care about the money. I do not care about any of those things because I'm able to live my life still. You know
Mm.
what I mean? And I had to hustle and do some other things. Yes, that's what I had to do. But like, it's why I say, like, I don't know how you grew up. I don't know who influenced these strength coaches. Like, the real world is tough. The real world sucks. The real world is struggle. But like, I'm sorry that no one told you that. You
Mm.
know what I mean? Like, that
Yeah.
is how my life has been described to me since I was a kid. I drive a Mustang that I bought for $4,000. I feel like it's a Lamborghini because I never imagined myself driving a Mustang ever. I never thought we'd ever be. I drove like $200 Pontiacs until I was 20, until I got my first head job. And then I
Mm.
did the most like ignorant thing. I bought like a brand new Chrysler 200 Sport, all decked out. Like, I went
Uh-huh.
full on ghetto with it, boy. But like, you
A
know what I'm saying?
hundred.
Like, I just feel like the central theme of this I'm trying to convey is people just need to like quit seeking validation, quit seeking the titles, quit seeking all this BS, and just look for peace of mind. Like, and once you get it, hold on to that peace of mind and don't let others outside influence change what gives you peace of mind, because a lot of the stuff that I've done in the past has been because of other people letting other people's outside influence negatively affect my perception of the world. The bad mistakes I've made, the bad decisions I've made, the bad like choices I've made arrogantly or like having an arrogant mindset or whatever, is because I let people tell me this is what you're going to be, this is how good you are, and this is what you need to strive for, instead of looking for what I actually want. And I was trying to validate their perception of me instead of really having a perception for myself. You know what I mean? So once I found my own peace of mind and my own perception for myself, I became a lot happier. I am happier at making the money I make now than I was making 100,000, than I was at making 55,000, than I was set up to make 150,000. You know what I mean? Like I said, I took a bigger pay cut than I make coming here. So like, but I am so much more at peace. And that's not because of Arizona was a terrible experience. I just am at a different stage of life that wasn't congruent with what Arizona was. You know what I mean? Arizona is a Power 5 football, like we're going to grind and all that stuff. And not that we don't hashtag grind here, but like, it's just different. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so I don't know, man, it's just more peaceful. That's my pedestal, my soap opera or whatever, my soapbox. But I just hope people try to find more peace of mind and stop trying to tear each other down and validate stuff that doesn't really matter.
Yeah. I think part of being a good host is knowing when there's nothing left to be said. And I think that last, 5 to 10 minutes is yeah, like I don't need to I'm not going to try and summarize what you said. I'm not going to try and over communicate, what my thoughts are on your thoughts. I'm not going to try and over communicate my thoughts in general on any of this stuff. I think yeah, man, you hit the nail on the head. And I think that's an incredible message to take. I think as you get a little bit older, right, you start to really see things from a little bit more of a zoomed out perspective. And yeah, I think this is what we have in this podcast now, and what you just described, I think is a good example of that, of where you're at, where you're trying to create some peace of mind. And so yeah, honestly, we're at about an hour, and that's usually what I try to keep these things at. I don't want you to go any, you know what I mean? Like if you have any,
I appreciate it, man.
That's perfect. Yeah. Like you know what I mean? I think it's perfect. Like, I think like, as you're like going through and you were just saying what you're saying, I'm like, there's don't say anything after. Like, there's nothing left to be said. Like he's speaking the truth. It's a great message. It at least one that I think is in line with, where I'm at this particular point in time. I think the thing that's interesting about podcasts too, is like in 5-6 years, you might feel a little bit differently about something. You know what I mean? It's like, it's always like, and the thing I might
say, screw peace of mind, go for the money. No.
Yeah. Like, who knows? You know what I mean? You don't know. But I think that's the interesting thing about like these podcasts too, is like, I think for a while I'm always trying to like make sure that like my message is clear and things are full circle. But what we just did in the past hour is we just kind of like dove into like a bunch of different banter about, the field, the good, the bad, like some positive things, some negative things. And you don't really have to summarize it, really. It just is. Like, things are okay when they just are. And for a while, I had trouble with that. I always had to have things like organized in my mind, where I stood on things, you know what I mean? Like where I stood on this podcast, like these thoughts, whatever. We just said a bunch of stuff. It is what it is. And it could change in the next 5, 10 years, 50 years. It could be like, who knows? And it is what it is. And we just spoke it into existence. So that's all we did. So I appreciate the conversation for sure. Since I know that's probably a little too like philosophical, starting to get off track, but I appreciate the conversation. It's great to meet you, man. And let's catch up, like obviously off record and chat and everything like that.